Okay, great. So you can see my screen, right? You can see uxstars.com, Rosie?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So I'm here with Rosie today, and I'm going to take her on a tour of Airtable. This is a bit informal, but it's a tool that I get excited about, and it saved me a boatload of time for maintaining my website. Because partly, having the website is having all the information you want out there, but another part of it is making it easy enough to maintain so you can keep it up to date, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, the UX Star Spotlight on my website is one of the main areas where I'm using Airtable. And so I was able to, this is all Airtable. Everything you're seeing here is
So you just
Airtable.
pull this Airtable into your website.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever you go and you create an Airtable, you can get just this little HTML snippet, an embed code, and then you can just paste that into your web page and it's there. And so you don't need to even have a web page to have an Airtable. Like if I wanted to just sort of have this section and share this with somebody, I wouldn't even need to have a website to share this. I could just send somebody a link directly to this. But if I had a website, I could just take that little piece of code, put it in the website, and then it's sort of sandwiched in there with the site. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very helpful. Like you just need to do it instead of creating other website for that.
Oh yeah, it's just so much quicker for me to maintain the rows. So if we get somebody new, right? Now, when you're in Airtable, there's a few different kind of views, right? There's what we call the grid view, right? Think Excel, right? Rows, columns, right? Sometimes you want that. But then there's also what we call the gallery view, right? So what you're looking at right now is like think of like an art gallery, right? You got your pictures, like little, a few details and things like that below it. Does that make sense? So there's more views. I mean, they go into all kind of different views in Airtable, but I'm not trying to cover everything. So typically, the main things are a grid view, like Excel, or you can have a gallery view, right? And so this is a gallery view. I use this sort of like, okay, I want to go to different sections, right? Maybe somebody wants to check out, hey, the grid view, right? So I can go ahead. Now, what you might have been surprised at there is it doesn't take me right into it. So whenever you're in Airtable, there's sort of like a two-step process, and it's a little bit annoying because when I click on this, it goes into sort of a detail view. This is where I have a chance to show a few more fields if I wanted to about this record. So it's a little clunky, but then this would actually take me off to the other Airtable, right? They just introduced these buttons, though. I know, right? It's 2020 and they introduced buttons. And you're like, wow, that's new. So seriously though, I think it was only like a month or two that they added these buttons, and these are a bit more direct. So if I click on the button, right, then it takes me right into it without having to do that intermediate step of the details. Are you with me so far? The buttons, I'm so glad they added that because I don't always feel like taking somebody like, I'd like to just take them right into it.
Yeah.
So this is rather like Excel. Now I have to be careful here, otherwise I'm going to mess up everybody's profiles.
Wow, it's impressive. You're almost like the recruiter's database.
Yeah, I told one of my friends, I was like, if we're not careful, we're going to end up as recruiters someday. No offense to any recruiters out there, but I don't make any kind of commissions or whatever. I just see people, having a hard time or something like that on LinkedIn, and I'm like, okay, how do I help them get a little bit of attention, right? It can't hurt, right? The web, I view that the website, LinkedIn, the world in general can be so judgmental, right? Everybody's like, oh, are you good enough? Are you good enough? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to try to help you, like, stand out a little bit. All right, off my pedestal. So now we're in Airtable here. And so, boom. We are directly in Airtable. Now, when we're in this kind of view and you don't see any kind of frames around it, we are directly on an Airtable website. So I have an option whether I want to embed an Airtable within my site, like you saw on that one page, or I can take somebody directly to Airtable itself. Now, the nice thing about taking somebody directly to Airtable itself is it looks better on mobile. Like on a cell phone,
Okay.
Space is what expensive, right? Because
Yeah.
like you got this like little screen, right? And you don't want too much padding on the left and the right and the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to be using an Airtable, you know, it does give them the best experience if you take them right into the Airtable on the cell phone instead, because otherwise there's going to be this huge margin. On some of my web pages, you'll see that.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm going to go actually into Airtable here. And now that you sort of understand a little bit about it, I'm just going to go straight to Airtable. Now, all these different things you're looking at here are called bases, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Databases, right? Like, I don't know why they couldn't just call them databases. That would have made too much
Yeah.
sense. Um, so,
I'm the writer of Airtable. Okay.
the idea of these bases, the thing you have to be tricky about is like, okay, so one area of my website lists tools, UX tools, right?
Yeah.
Airtable is one. You know, all kind of tools, right?
Mhm.
And then this is the UX Star Spotlight that we were looking at. So when you have two different bases, they can't pull records from each other. They're like
Oh,
separate
can you
entities.
duplicate and then pull it out now?
The what?
Can you duplicate the data from
Oh
one?
yes, yes. You can duplicate. You can export data as a CSV. Like if I went in, I could say, "Oh, save this as a CSV," and then I could import that into another table. But I can't link from one base into another. Like as far
Oh,
as the data. Like if I had people in one table as far as what their names were, and I stored their phone numbers in another database, I couldn't like pull that together. Right?
mhm,
They're like
mhm.
separate databases. But if I look in here, you can have different tables within a base, right? So
Yeah.
each one of these tabs at the top is a table within the base,
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
And so you just have to make sure they're all in there. And then on the left side is where your views are, right? So anything on the left side here is going to be like a view. And so I might have um, okay, here's a good example, right? I want
Yeah.
to take people right to where the researchers are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a view for that. I'm not going to like, some people are designers and researchers, right?
Yeah.
Cool. But I don't want to have their name twice, right?
Oh, I see.
And so I have a different view. And all the view is, so like if I go here to the researchers, if I click on this filter button at the top,
Yeah.
um, see, all I'm doing there is I'm saying, oh, role contains the word research,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so each of these views just has whatever filters and things like that I want to appear on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I like about Airtable is it sort of gets out of your way. It's like, okay, here's my data. Here's how I want to filter it. Here's how I want to sort it. And, it's just very sort of open-ended, kind of like Excel, but a bit prettier. So do you have any questions before I keep going on and on about this tool? And did I lose you anywheres?
No, but so far it looks uh better than I thought because it you cannot see it from the templates,
Yeah.
but if you demonstrate it and how you use it, it looks just better.
Okay. Well, then we're up for the challenge. You want me to try to create one with you live just to show you how easy it is?
Yeah, that would be
All
great.
right. So I'm just going to click on this add a base button.
Okay.
And then, okay, this is the dangerous part. If you say start with a template, that's when you get all overwhelmed with like all the fancy schmancy Airtables that they've got
Exactly.
out there. They
That's what
have the what?
that's what happened for me. Like
Oh
when I
yeah, no, it's
oh,
scary. Like it scared me.
yeah,
Okay, let's do it for a second here, and then we'll be like, oh my gosh, and it's like, oh no, 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 no. Let's start nice and simple, right? You could have a spreadsheet, right? Some people might have a contact list, right? But I'm just gonna say start from scratch.
oh,
All
okay.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So when I just do this, I mean, I get some color options. It doesn't really matter. It's like whatever color we're feeling like today. It gives you a little icon here. You can pick on it. It's just because, like, say you have a lot of bases, it just
Oh,
kind of helps you find it. Like, get it? I put a hammer for the toolbox. Make sense?
yeah.
All right. So, um, if I go here, I don't know. I'll just pick like Hmm, I don't know, a bell? What are we going to make a database about?
Oh yeah,
Anything.
we need to have a thing. How about helping people checking their job application progress?
Okay, well, just like, yeah, okay. Job application
Yeah,
progress. Or maybe somebody would have their spreadsheet of
yeah.
places they applied to or something like that. Cool. Um, let's see. I don't know if there's a particular icon for that. I wish they had more icons, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a little limited. They gotta like double this.
Oh,
Okay, a job. Okay, two people working together.
okay. That's them.
Okay, and I'll take this job application status.
Okay.
Okay, and you know what? The weird thing is, I come from a programmer background where you had to be careful to avoid spaces and stuff. But one of the nice
Oh,
things,
that's right. Yeah, I was just thinking.
one of the nice things about Airtable is that you don't have to be so like programmer-y, right? Because it's very forgiving. So I can put spaces. I don't have to connect everything with underscores anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more forgiving than like say, SQL Server or something like that. So if I go,
Yeah, your background
oh,
totally
my
show.
background?
I mean, it totally show your past background as a developer.
Yeah. So like, yeah, if I say something is super easy, I'm coming from the standpoint of a developer who actually had to code lines for this stuff to happen. So seeing how easy this is to get something on the web is just like magic to me, because I'm like, oh, I didn't even have to write a line of code to make this work.
Yeah.
So this will be the job application. You know what? I'll call it the tracker, right? Because maybe if I was going to do this, maybe I would have one table, right? I'm going to create an empty table, and I'll call this maybe companies I'm interested in, right? Like
Oh.
companies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, and I could call the other one job applications, and then I rename that. And so one of the weird things about Airtable that's not immediately prevalent is this left-hand column is very special.
Oh.
Whatever is on the left side is seen as like the unique key for the table, right?
Oh.
It is intended to be like this is the thing that really makes this data unique. And so maybe it's a person's name or a company name or a product name,
Mm-hmm.
or it could even just be a number, right? But the thing is, if you try to drag this over, you can't drag it over, right? Because it's acting different. Like whatever's in the left side is in the left side. We can rename it. We can change the data type. It's just that the left field is treated differently than everything else. Everything else is some extra information. This is intended to sort of be like, oh, hey, this is sort of the thing that makes it unique. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
Okay, so this is job application tracker here. So what kind of fields do you think we might put in here? I mean, this doesn't have to be a real full system,
Yeah.
obviously, but what kind of stuff do you think we might track if we were tracking jobs that we applied to?
Yeah. So I think there should be column with the company names and then
Okay,
the date when you apply. And
okay,
then
okay. Hold on, slow down, slow down, slow down.
okay.
Date applied.
I sorry, I treat you like Siri,
Oh no, you're all into it now. That's good. You're engaged. So where is the date field? Oh, here we go. Date field.
Oh, it's
Boom.
cool. I actually have it.
I know.
A
And
lot of
then company. Oh wait, I should leave status alone because that'll make sense. Company name.
company names.
Now that's a single line of text. If I was to write notes about the job application or maybe details, I would leave this as a multi-line text. But you know what I
Oh,
mean? They have two options in here. Sorry. You've got your single line text. That's meant like a company's name, your name, the day of the week, blah, 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 right? Long
oh,
text is like, hey, I want to have some paragraphs or something
okay.
like that, right? So there is a differentiation between these two. Now,
Yeah.
for company name, I could get fancy and I could like link to the company name and the company
Yeah.
table. But for our purposes today, I'm just going to sort of keep this straight, flat, like just a, old-fashioned spreadsheet.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, oh yeah, company name. Oh, I already have that, and I'll say that.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think I
Yeah.
could? We don't really need to have an attachments. An attachments type field is often where Like in the UX stars, that's where I put somebody's profile image. That's where I can put a picture and then use that as the top of the card, right? I don't know, for job applications I really need this. I can always add it back if I want to.
Okay.
Notes is probably good because that sort of tells
Yeah.
me about that thing. And the job title would make
Yeah, the
sense to
job
separate out.
title.
The what?
Yeah, yes, the job title.
Job title. Now, I'm going to do something here. I'm not saying I would do it this way if I was making a real system. I may
Yeah.
just want to make it just a text box. But for the purposes of this tutorial, impromptu tutorial, I'll make it a select box, right?
Okay.
Okay, and so, right. And so, see here, we've got the name.
The name. Is
You know
he
what?
company name here?
Yeah, well, it had them, but see, you might apply to multiple positions at a job. Don't they have like some kind of ID number? Like, I'll just call this the job ID, right? Don't they have like
You mean like same company but multiple openings?
Yeah, you may apply to multiple openings at a company. So I'm just going to call this a job ID. I think each job has like a few digit number or something like that. That might be a way to keep it straight. And then it's a nice tidy field. And I'll just make it a number. Well, actually, I'll make it single line text because there could be letters in there possibly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this would just be like probably whatever you get in from, you know, whatever website, what they say the ID for the job is.
Yes.
Fine. Okay. This would be where you could paste in, okay, the job details, like.
Yeah, could be remote, paid internship, something like that.
Yeah, must have.
Yeah, or
50 years experience in Figma. You know, because that's what everybody laughs at. Like sometimes the job posts out there, they ask for more experience and like the tool hasn't been around that long. So like, let's just go all out 50 years, definitely. And so see here, we were also talking about, okay, so now with something like remote, that's we could put that into the notes, right? But you know what, this will have us another a checkbox, right?
Yeah. How about the type, like a job type, so they can.
Okay, so what are some job types?
Like a full-time, part-time contract.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perfect. That would be a single select. I don't even know what to call that because obviously design is one job type and research is another type.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'll just call it job type for now. And you know, the nice thing about it is if you come up with other types of things that are types, you could just change it. And it could be hard to find the perfect name for something, right? But
I think the iteration, like a design process, you always change
exactly. And what I like about Airtable is that if you go back later on and you decide you want to change some columns and you want to change some table names and whatever, back when I was coding stuff, it's like you change something in one place and you'd have to go here and there and everywhere. And it's like an Easter egg hunt because you don't change it in one spot and then the whole thing like breaks. But like Airtable is like, if I went ahead and I changed like this or that or whatever, it's not going to break anything. It's like, you know, like you have your seatbelt on and whatever. So we said full-time.
Yeah, full-time.
Okay. Part-time.
Part-time.
Any other?
Contract.
Okay, contract.
And then internship.
Oh, I can't spell the word contract. Okay. Internship.
Yeah.
Right. Now, did you realize that there's this colored options thing here? This is kind of nice because, okay, you want to have your plain vanilla database, cool. But you know what? You can add a little color because sometimes when you're looking at rows and rows of data, it can just help out. And you're not stuck with this option either. Say you want other colors, you know, you've got all kind of things to choose from.
Yeah.
And so this can come in. Yeah, sorry, Rosie?
It like gives you a lot of freedom to customize the style.
Yeah, and in this whole thing, we're not writing a single line of code.
Yeah.
And so, I have to be careful and not say it's so easy, anybody could do it, because like it's just I come from a different, very technical background. But my hope is people will see this video and they'll say like, oh, maybe I could make some use out of this as well. So yeah, we can just leave the colors for now, right? You might want to differentiate them more. But okay, so we're good here. So we've got that job status. I could say to do, job done.
Mm.
That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, like applied, interview, reject.
Let's leave out rejected. Oh, the pain. Interviewed,
Interview,
rejected.
rejected, and then offer, got offer.
Well, that's all we have to worry about.
Offered. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Off. OFFE. Oh gosh. There we go. I can spell. Oh no, it did this thing where they're both green. That won't do. And you know what? We can actually make things a little, okay, rejected is kind of bad, right? We could say, hey, you're gonna be red because that's a danger color. Offered, well, that has to be green because it's like the money. Interviewed, we're not quite sure. Applied is sort of neutral because, well, we're always doing that. And so you can actually make the colors sort of meaningful too, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, we've got our calendar here. So, I'm sorry, I meant to click on the square and then a calendar pops up. I didn't have to do, I just said, hey, this is a calendar field. And then boom, I have a calendar control. Okay, I applied on this day. Super important company. Rated. And then I can, change the width there. Now, for job titles, do you think that this, should we just make this a text field, or do you think we should have this as a drop-down box?
If you want to save time, maybe it's a box because then you can just click it. Sometimes, because I believe people might want to apply for certain roles, right? So it helps when you just click it.
Okay, so we are in here now. What is a job title that we might want to pick?
For example, my friend, she's UX designer, but also UX researcher. So for her, she's looking for 2 of these roles. So some of the job could be designer, some of them could be researcher. So for her, it will be easy to just, okay, this one I click researcher,
gotcha.
And then I click designer.
Gotcha. So one way to do this, there's different ways to do, the whole thing. I could just make it a text box and have her enter it in, or I could say, okay, one item here will be UX designer. Now, when I start typing in this, it tries to see if I have a match yet. If not, it says, would you like to create a new option called UX designer? Yeah. And so if I'm down here and I'm like, oh, if I was in another one, I could say, oh, it's not in the list yet. Okay, researcher. Now, of course, we may not be adding more than one record right now. We could actually go to customize the field and we could add options this way as well.
Oh, I see.
So one way is like, if you're in here and like you have a list of drop-down boxes and you're like, I'm not finding what I'm looking for, it automatically pops up something to say, oh, would you like to have another option called that? And so it's just sort of like ready to sort of add to the list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so I can also come here and think ahead of time and say customize field type. And let's see here. Okay, UX designer, UX researcher. I could even have a combination. Oh, you know what? Okay, why am I doing this? I need to make this a multiple select. I could actually have it as 2 separate options, right? Because, I don't know. It's like, for the heck of showing you what multiple selects look like, right? I could say, oh, night. And then you could have it so that it's both.
Oh, yeah, it's nice. Because it could be, it happened.
Yeah.
for the real world.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? It could have been a text box. It could have been one long title that we selected, or we could sort of say what are the different roles that they're expecting out of you, right?
Yes.
There's different ways to approach it. All we're worried about here is sort of showing you some of the capabilities of the whole thing. And so let's add another record so that we can play around with the filters.
Okay.
Um, okay, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4 works. Now we'll say that this one was applied,
Yeah.
and we'll say that we got offered at
Oh,
ABC. Yes, I know, right? And today's date is going to be the day because it's a Friday, and Fridays are good. And I don't know
yeah,
what company do you think we should give this?
this one.
Rest what?
I said this one should be everyone's top dream company, which I don't know could be different.
Ah, okay. I don't know. Dream job, you said?
Yeah, like since we are in tech, so people will say, okay, the joint tech company,
Yeah.
or Apple.
Oh,
But
okay. Oh, we'll put in the Apple, sure. Why not? They won't mind. So we'll give ourselves an offer at Apple and job title. Um, we could make ourselves the director, right?
oh yeah, global director,
or
something
or
like
even we could go VP level.
that. Oh, let's
VP of
US.
UX. That has a good ring to it. All right.
Yeah.
So sweetness.
Oh,
All right. So now I did this so that we could do filters, right?
yeah.
If I want to filter and say, you know what, only show me things where the
Mm-hmm.
job title uh, has any of,
Oh, it's like the
and then
key.
like boom, right? It's
Oh,
giving me all the options they had based on that field right in there.
yeah.
And so it's doing all this work for me to say, okay, you know what? Only show me the designer jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
boom, just like that, it's gone ahead and done that filter.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so, like, maybe I even want to have different views. So this is Mr. Boring Grid View here. He's just a table, right?
Mhm.
But I could say, hey, you know what? I want to come down here and I want to create a gallery view. Okay.
Oh.
And so I could have this, and then this is, more of that whole gallery car view thing. But you know what? I'm going to have one view for stuff that has to do with like leadership, like the whole VP thing.
Oh.
And we can have another one for like the research. So we'll call this the um, practitioner, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll just call it design and research. Now, I don't have to put the word view in here, but I'm just sort of doing that so that it's very clear so that this is a view. Now, if I come in here and, okay, what sometimes happens, and this is a little bit annoying in Airtable,
Mhm.
sometimes you get like this extra little record here, and then you just have to sort of be like, no, I don't. Why is it even, oh, it's because I'm going to turn off this filter here, and I'm just going to delete this blank row so it's not showing up weird in the. You
Oh.
never notice an extra row when you're in the grid view, but when you're in the gallery, you're like, where'd that come from? Okay, better. Okay, I don't. That's supposed to wait. Does it insist on having that? Whatever. Okay, hey, made it happy. Maybe I had two blank rows.
Yeah.
So each of these cards is different because I can actually customize what shows up on the card preview. And this comes in handy if you have like a bunch of fields.
Mm-hmm.
Like say you go to town and when you've got like, oh, what's the phone number and the offer number and the salary range and say you're really did it, but maybe on this card that you use as a selector you only want to have a few of the guys showing up, right? And so you can come in here and say customize cards, and that will say, well, what do I really want shown here, right?
Okay.
And so maybe I don't want to show the notes because maybe that's really long,
Yeah.
and maybe I just want to see the status, and maybe
Yeah.
I don't care about the date applied either, but maybe I do want to show the company name.
Mhm.
You see how it just automatically did that?
Yeah, it's very convenient because sometimes you don't want to show those information. You just,
Yeah, and then if you click on it, you get everything.
oh,
Um, it'll show you the detail view. So in Airtable, there's always like a summary view kind of concept with the gallery, and then a detail concept where you can get to everything.
oh,
Okay, so I could take this whole view and duplicate it so we could have sort of a like a leadership view if we wanted to. I don't know. I could actually see I'm still have this selected, and then I go up here and I can say, you know what, I'd like to duplicate this view, because then I have another view here, and I'll rename this guy. I'll call this leadership, I guess.
mhm,
Okay, and now on this guy, I'm just going to come on up here to the filter, and I'll say, you know what, this is just going to be, where did we put field? Did we have that in job title?
mhm.
Okay, so this isn't perfect because you would want something that said like leadership, but for the
Oh,
sake of this demo, that's what we had in there. So for this one here, we could say this one is going to be like, you know what,
yeah.
for the job title, and I could say, okay, anything that's going to be designer,
Mhm,
uh, or I could choose one, but since I call this the design and research view, I will have both of these selected.
mhm.
And so we've only got 2 records, but now we've got our 2 different views. And if we want to go back to everything, we can just click on the grid. Now, I've done a lot of clicking around and I'm going really fast.
Mhm.
Do you have any kind of like questions I want to pause for that sort of makes things get cleared up?
So far, so good. I
Yeah.
can see the magic behind it, like why is so convenient now.
Yeah, I used to have to code a lot of these things in grids and whatever. And so it's just like a kid in a candy shop. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can type these things, add a few filters, and then let's do like another step here. So say you have a friend or a career coach or something like that, right? And maybe you're trying to keep them up to date on what you're doing and applying for. I don't know. Maybe it's a career counselor. You could actually say, you know what? I want to go and share this Airtable with somebody, right? Because it's not like a file on my computer. This is always live on the website. If I share this, I
Oh,
can go ahead and I can just send anybody this link, and anybody anywhere else in the world right now can see this. They don't have to sign up for Airtable or anything,
that's really nice.
right? There was no publish step. There was no them having to create an account.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, they just have my, you know, did I not have a name on this column? What is going on here? Oh, here it is. And so the cool thing about this is I've seen some people, they actually make a whole system without even having a website. Like there's a fellow who does like the Monster UX book list. He doesn't even have a
Oh,
website. He just made it nice enough
yeah.
so you can go directly to that Airtable, right? So even people who don't have a website can have a way of sort of sharing a resource. Now, I didn't show you, well, what if I wanted to put this inside a website?
Yeah.
You see this option here.
Oh.
And then it's going to go into a little HTML land here, right?
Oh,
All I have to do is copy this somewhere in the body of my web page, and the Airtable will show up there.
in a perfect proportion.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Now,
Yeah.
Airtable does look better on desktops. I'm hoping they'll make some more improvements. You can see on the left side here, if I try to share a grid with, like, putting it on a web page or something like that, on a desktop computer, it's going to be like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Excel, right? But on a mobile computer, they don't
Yeah.
let you do different columns. They sort of force it into a gallery view.
Yeah.
All right, you with me so far? So I would just simply copy this out and put this. Now, not everybody knows HTML or is comfortable going into there,
Mm.
but this is, I mean, like once you have it in there, you don't have to go and muck around with the HTML anymore. You just would go into the Airtable,
Mhm.
do your thing. So if somebody helped you with that part,
Yes.
So now, do you have any questions about anything else? Of course, you've got your sort capabilities. Let
Yeah.
me start at the left here. Okay, so you've got your views.
Yes.
You've got your grid view. Uh, I could hide certain fields. I tried to just not to put information in here. Like, for example, email addresses can be
Yeah.
touchy, so I don't even have that in my database. The best
Oh,
way to have security is not to have the information.
oh yeah, that's the question because I was just thinking for all millions of users, if they put all the private information, it's
Mm-hmm.
very secure.
Yeah, so okay, I'll go back to the whole sharing step here. Now, I could have said uh, people with a private link can only see this themselves. So there there are ways that you can be more restrictive. You could have a password on this thing.
Oh,
You could make it so that I think if they're only having a certain email domain, I don't know, somehow they would do. So there is ways to add some security around it.
okay.
All that I have been doing is sort of just like, oh, hey, here's the best UX websites, here's UX groups, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and I don't even throw email addresses in there. So not it is meant for public consumption, but if you did have touchy situations, you do have ways to restrict it.
Okay.
And this is kind of an interesting one too.
Mhm.
You can actually make it so that people can't right click and copy information out of a list. I mean,
Wow.
they can still take screenshots, right? But if you don't want if you put a lot of work into making some gigantic list and you didn't want somebody to like just copy it all down,
Yeah.
you can actually make it so they can't right click and copy. I'm not saying that's true security, but it's kind of, I do sometimes use that.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
So I don't really do the grouping too much. I think that's a new feature they added. I'll probably end up using it. Filtering is self-explanatory. Sorting is how you want the thing
Mhm.
sorted. Just like in Excel, right? You can pick multiple fields.
Yeah.
So we could pick the date applied, right? And
Yeah.
then we can go ahead and add another field, right?
Mhm.
Multiple layers of sorting, right? Because then maybe you'd be date applied and then company or whatever.
Yeah, it's really good. I like this feature.
Yeah. And there's certain, I don't know,
Yeah.
colors you can do. Um, row height, I don't usually change that, but maybe I should. But I mean, I've only really gone into the basic field types here. There's
Like
other things you can do. You can do things with formulas just like you can in Excel.
Excel.
And
Oh,
it's very much like the same type of syntax that you would use in Excel. I'm not saying it will always be the same, but same kind of idea if you want to add two fields together or something like that.
oh, I got one quick question.
Yes,
Can you export it into Excel
you
file?
bet I can.
Oh,
So if I was here in the grid view, I would
yeah.
just simply say download the CSV. Oh, hey, look,
Oh,
we have a
on the
CSV.
it's the Excel. Okay. But if what other kinds of because I saw they have these project
Mhm.
templates. All kinds of templates can export to Excel or PowerPoint, different type of format.
Mhm.
Mhm.
CSV is one of those formats which is sort of like a common way to take any list of something, and then once you have something in the CSV format, you can import it into a variety of different tools.
Oh, that's the same. Okay.
Like CSV is like it can open in Excel, or you could probably even take a Word document and load a CSV into that, or it
Oh,
just stands for comma separated values, and it's more of a generic way to store columns of information.
okay.
Now, I'm not saying that there may be some gotchas, like how, for example, like this is two different fields here. Now, when I add that into the CSV, how did the job title spread out?
Oh, I see.
Okay, so yeah, they just put it in one column and they put a comma between those two values.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, you're right. Whenever you have one of these tools, and you know what, maybe a year from now, somebody will come up with some other cool new tool and you'll want to export your data. It's important to know that you can get the stuff back out and use something else?
Yeah, because I believe there will be other people they
Mm-hmm.
just still like to use traditional
Mm-hmm.
document,
Yeah,
which is
sure.
okay because yeah, sometimes just familiar with them.
I gotcha. So I'm gonna close that. Oh, okay. Are you ready for something more mind-blowing?
Yeah.
Okay. Blocks. Now, this is the part where you might get to be a little overwhelmed. So far, we've just talked about this in terms of, oh, hey, this is like a super spreadsheet. We can add more color options, the forms that let us pick things like dates and multiple selections, they just automatically create themselves. Blocks are like sort of this next level thing. Now, I think you need the pro plan for the blocks, right? I've only used a small amount of them. Like,
Okay.
so for example, I added a search feature on the website so that
Mhm.
you could sort of slim down the results.
Yeah.
Now, let me show you what that looks like on our UX Stars website. I'll go off here to the, oh, I meant to, okay. That's not where I meant to go. Maybe I need to look at this. The gallery view. Oh, you know what? Maybe. Oh, I meant I put this in the toolbox. Let's take a look at the toolbox.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the
Oh.
toolbox. So I started out with just this, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, here's your different categories of tools. You got your note taking tools, your prototyping tools, da, da, da. Great. But like, say I just want to search everything. Like, what's a type of feature of a UX tool that we might look for?
Um, usability testing.
Usability. Okay. And I'll just keep it short as usability, uh, and I'll search for that.
Ooh.
Now, it's giving me a list of every one of these that contain the word usability. Now, if I, any search, if I go to testing, maybe it would, okay.
Oh.
So now I can go in these. And so this search block, right?
Yeah.
It's like a block within the whole thing. It's sort of, I don't know, it makes it nicer. Now, I could actually have gone in here and said, oh, hey, I would like to do this kind of search, right?
Mm.
So if I had a search here, it's just not as comprehensive, like, because it'll just like search whatever this table is
Yeah.
in this view. And then like when I go and set this block up, it can search across multiple views and tables and everything. So
Mhm.
it's a bit more powerful. So in the pro plan, you get some of these nice bonus features, which I need for the site. But you can do a heck of a lot with just like the free plan too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and CSV import.
Mm.
I'm able to sync things up. Like, so when people sign up for the website, I've got that in a spreadsheet and it can sort of help sync up, like, okay, if say somebody got hired,
Yeah.
then if they update their record on the Google form, then it can just update the records that, need to be updated instead of
Mm.
trying to replace everything. So I'm not going to go into all these. I've barely touched the surface on what the blocks can do for me. I'll probably play around with a few others, but mostly on the website, I'm just getting by with, okay, I've got my grid views and I've got my gallery views, and then I embed with that little code. And then, just today, somebody told me about another volunteer group that helps
Oh.
people find ways to volunteer in UX. All I have
Oh.
to do is come out here, enter that URL in there, and boom, the website's updated.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right. Do
It's
you have any
really
other questions about it? Or I know I've just been talking.
I'm gonna try it after our talk for
All
sure.
right, cool. Now, if you get stuck on anything, I'm happy to meet up with you again and all that. I'm going to stop recording if I can figure out how. All right.
Okay.
Bye bye, world. All right. Thanks for checking us out.